Welcome, Mr. Pulela Gopichand. Honored to have you as our special guest.
Well, thank you very much for having me here.
I remember two incidents from my first visit to your academy in 2012. The first one is actually a bit embarrassing for me. We came there for our pre-Olympic series and we wanted to document one day in Gopichand's life. So I told my cameraman Firoz Khan that we would reach there by 5:30 in the morning and wait near the gate. But when we reached Gachibowli Stadium by 5:30, we were told that you had already started your work. And I remember you left by 7:30 or 8 in the evening. I know that even now your day starts at 4 a.m. and you are at the academy till 7 p.m. What keeps you going, sir? How do you keep yourself motivated after all these years and achievements?
For me, I was, as an athlete, as a player, having gone through the ranks, I enjoyed my sport, and when I retired from playing, I just had this feeling that I had a formula which was there, which could be helpful for others to win. I tried my best to ensure that this formula is used for young kids, and it continues. So today, to answer this question, I think when I look at my journey and when I look at young kids of the future, I believe that there's a lot of scope, and that's what makes me really excited about every morning.
Second incident from that visit in July 2012 is I remember we finished our interview and we were waiting for Saina's session. Then you asked us one thing. One of our girls has just won Junior Asian title. Can you speak to her also? It will be good if you do an interview. That girl was PV Sindhu. Looking back, I feel that you are preparing her for a life beyond the court. So why do you believe that you have a 24/7 job with the players? I ask this because there's a school of thought that says players should be free to do anything in their free time.
Well, I think as with any other field, what you do on these 6 hours or 7 hours on the badminton court or in the gym is not enough to make you a player. If the rest of the 18 hours you're doing things which are opposite to what can be helpful to your sport. So I think it's very important that at least in the formative years that there is total discipline and total structure so that the players are really thinking about the entire time with focus on the sport, and I think that is very, very important. I think to do it in bits and pieces is okay, but I think then you will have to have a very mature ecosystem, and I do believe that many young players, it's very important that they have to be taught how to think, how to eat, how to rest properly, and all of these things help the training and the playing. If you're playing very well, if you're training very hard, but if you're not eating well or if you're not resting well and if you're not on the right path, it eventually affects your training and the playing. So it's very important that life is looked at as a whole, and 24 hours is important rather than looking at it only from the perspective of I am only concerned about the badminton court for the few hours when they are playing. Yes, of course, there's a point in when maybe players are mature enough, players can handle themselves. At that point, it's another story, but I think especially the formative years, it's important that we have a proper discipline and a structure to the players' program.
We often see many parents coming to enroll young children in the sport with an eye on Olympics or World Championships. How does a coach decipher if a kid is cut out for the game?
Well, I think it's going to be a tough question to answer, because I think talent identification is one step, as in if players are able to hit the shuttle well, I think that's one step. I think after a few months or a year of playing, you'll know whether the kid has the hand-eye coordination to hit properly. Then the next aspect is when they start moving on court, whether they have the legs to move, whether they have the energy to move, they have the fitness to move, strength to move and speed to move. All of these things are the next steps. Maybe in the next 2 to 3 years we'll realize that they have these things. Along with the fact that they might also have things like intelligence to score a point at a certain place. That's another kind of intelligence. So there are many steps to you becoming a top player. And for a coach, I think each of these indicators are very, very important. Things where you've lost to a particular player for a certain time and then you have to beat them. What is that's mindset is also an asset which has to be evaluated, but that's evaluated only after a while of playing badminton. There's a time when you start traveling abroad and achieving some good results, and then you tend to get complacent. There's a tendency of players to get complacent. That's a mindset which players will have to, or coaches will have to break down, whether they are an Olympic or a world level material, because people who have talent are many, there's a lot more, but people who have the drive and the energy to utilize that talent in the right way and persevere with it to eventually get top quality results, I think is another ball game. So I think we will have many players who are talented, who have an idea of the sport, but there are very few of them who have the real urge and the real hunger to go on even after they won many titles, and those are the people who will eventually win Olympic and world medals.
When you started in the 1980s, Hyderabad was at the bottom rung in badminton, even at the South Indian level. I think Kerala had more serious national players then. How did you overcome this challenge as a player and later as a coach?
For me, we had a few senior players to me who were starting to make a mark. Manoj and Praveen were two of them. But really, as a state, as a city, we didn't have the talent, and as you rightly said, Kerala would be number one, Karnataka would be number two, and then we would be maybe number 3 or 4 in South Zone. So that's how our level was. But for me, each step I climbed, I saw that the next step is possible, and that made a difference. I think I went from state to the nationals, and I realized that if I push a little more, I can win at the national level. And it's the same story when I went to the internationals. I realized that we are almost there, and all you need to do is push a little more. And when you pushed a little more, you realize that you can win, and that becomes the motivation for you. I think every step you take, the next step seemed possible, and that's how my journey was.
The way badminton is played at the highest level is changing almost every 3 to 6 months. Is it time to reassess how the coaching setup is structured in our country? How can we spread the net wide and create uniform systems across the country to produce more champions?
Well, I think, things have changed, and we have not really changed as much in the systemic approach. Badminton, if you look at in the 80s when we were playing, I think a city would have maybe 3 to 5 badminton courts. But today the number of courts available are much more. The infrastructure has grown tremendously. People playing the sport, parents encouraging their children to play the sport, schools wanting their students to play the sport. I think that has grown up multifold, and across the country this is. And it's now important that we don't look at individual places, but we look at many more setups which are coordinated to ensure that the cream comes up on top, and the structure is designed where anybody who is anywhere in the country, if he or she has the talent, they are pushed and they are actually taken up the ladder in a systematic manner, and that I think is very important. Today also the fact is the various schemes. I think Kerala would have its Olympic program. Likewise, many states would have their Olympic programs, many academies, many schools, many PSUs, railways, army, many of them work with almost similar objectives in mind. Along with that, the Government of India through its various projects, whether it's Khelo India or whether it's the TOP scheme or whether it's initiatives to develop fitness, all of these are major initiatives which help the sport. But today we need to synchronize all of them and put them into a structure so that the player who is playing at whatever age he is actually playing as per a scientific plan, and I think that becomes very critical. This wasn't the case some years ago, and probably this isn't the case for some sports, but at least for badminton, I think there is a more than enough infrastructure which is available. We need to ensure that first whatever is available is utilized properly, and the players who are playing are taken care of properly. Their structure, their programming, their calendar of training and competition is structured properly. Their coaching is scientific. Their sports science support is optimum, and I think that is very critical for us. And only then I think we would do justice to the fact that so many kids from such a vast country are playing and aspiring to be top players.
Gobi sir, you are an icon not only because of your on-court exploits but also because of the character you exhibit off court, like not endorsing cola products in your playing days. I know it was not an easy decision. Would you tell us the thought process behind it?
I think it's not just now, this was many years ago, it's almost 20 years now. I've personally been associated with yoga, Indian things, and also was dwelling into the right kind of food as an athlete, as a player. And around 97, when I started looking at ingredients and I was looking at research, I realized that this is something which is harmful for people in general and sports definitely. So I didn't have any cola drink since 1997. So when in 2001 I had an offer after the All England to endorse a cola product, it was a no-brainer to say that I will not do it, because that decision almost felt that something which I don't do myself, I don't want to endorse it, and I don't want to be responsible for any kid drinking it with my name on it or being inspired by me. So that's something which was a clear decision. But definitely I think we need to look at our food a lot more deeper. I think it's very important that we need to look at Indian things a lot more specifically, because today we are driven by markets, we are driven by blitz or very jazzy marketing, but really the essence of it is lost in the bargain. I think there's a lot we have in our culture, in our system, in our foodstuffs, which are very good, and I think we have to go back to our roots to ensure that we are using what has been there in our culture for our benefit.
We just had our best Olympic Games. How can we take forward the spirit of Tokyo to Paris? Is a double-digit medal count a realistic target in 2024?
I think definitely. I think this time around, if we were a little lucky, probably we would have got to the double digits here itself. But having said that, I think there's very little time between now and Paris, because almost you will see the same set of players or just a few additions to the Tokyo Games in Paris, because we are already in or getting into 2022. We have Commonwealth Asian Games in 2022, and then before the end of the year, some sports would have already started thinking of Olympic qualifications, and badminton's Olympic qualification starts by 2023 March. So we have very little time for between now or Tokyo and Paris, and I do believe that the momentum of Tokyo will continue, the positivity of Tokyo will continue, and I'm very optimistic that we should have the double digits in Paris.
This year we had 12 Khel Ratna winners. Neeraj Chopra is a Khel Ratna, Abhinav Bindra is a Khel Ratna, fine. But is Manika Batra or Dibakar Makar or Rohit Sharma a Khel Ratna? I'm not sure. I personally believe that we should apply more wisdom in selecting Khel Ratna winners. What's your take on this, sir?
I think we need to really think what we are doing, because when Khel Ratna was given in the initial years, it was one per year, and then subsequently different people's ideas come through and it's diluted, and somehow the connect between the present and the past is not there. And I do believe that some kind of a format is devised where the people in the present know what were the reasons why people in the past took such decisions. And I think if that connect is missing, we actually start making these things. So I think the numbers, I don't have a problem with the numbers going up, because I do believe that performances have gone up, and definitely we should, but it should not dilute the quality of the award. And somewhere I think that the more you give, and if you start and you rightly pointed out, if Neeraj has won a gold and Abhinav has won a gold and they are the Khel Ratnas, then diluting it further would be a problem, or you give the people who have really performed well another award. So I think it's time the people in the present looked at the past reasons why people have taken those decisions, and if that was done, I don't think we would have actually diluted this to this extent, or we would have come up with this question in the first place.
In 2017, we had 5 male players in top 20 ranking, 2 women players in top 10. Now we have 3 men in top 20 and only 1 woman in top 10. Are you worried about this?
I'm not so worried about the slight dip in the ranking, but definitely the performances of the players has been below par, to say. And I do believe that we need to be back ensuring that the system is perfected, and the structure which was there earlier and which has produced us results is followed, and I think that's very, very important.
Your daughter Gayatri is a professional player now. Are you more nervous now on her match days?
I think people outside of the court are more nervous than the people on the court. So I think from that perspective, yes. But as a coach who has trained so many players whom I felt so close to, I've kind of realized that the pressure is there for a short time, maybe just during the match, and after the match it's over. So I think win or loss, I'm okay if they start progressing or they keep on developing. I think that's the important area, because we in badminton have many opportunities to play. There are many tournaments which give you an opportunity to showcase your talent. So if you are prepared well, and if you have actually focused and developing as a player, I think you will definitely get results sooner or later. So I kind of am not too worried about match days, but I think I would be more concerned about training and ensuring that the players in general are what their attitude is towards training is what is my concern, rather than what the result of the tournament is.
Thank you for the time, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel.